Here in Iowa, we have an abundance of deer. It's not that hard to go out on any given day and see one feeding before dark. But what most people don't know is that there are diseases that deer can catch that are killing many of them all over. One of the main diseases is called CWD, or chronic wasting disease. I learned most of what I know about this disease from an article written in 2018 called Chronic Wasting Disease, Detection and Mortality Sources in Semi-Protected Deer Population by an author named Kristen Schuler. This article has really opened my eyes to see how it could affect us here in Iowa. This matters because they are a major part of the ecosystem in our area, and without them, it would be unbalanced. I have learned a lot about this topic in my years of experience hunting in Iowa and Wisconsin, and also through my research that I found. There are three main points that we have to understand about this topic. The three main points are the EHD disease and what it is doing, the CWD disease and how it is affecting the deer population, and finally, what the Department of Natural Resources is doing to combat this problem. The first point I would like to bring to light is most of the different diseases that are hurting the deer population. An article I read called Number of Deer Affected by Deadly Virus Could Spike, DNR says, written by Tyler Davis in 2019, talked about a disease called epizootic hemorrhagic disease, or EHD. The article said that this disease is spread by female midges, and a midge is kind of like a gnat, if you don't know. And after they feed on dead animals, so it has killed over 400 deer already and is expected to kill many more. This same article says that normally this would not be a problem, but since the death is going up, it's starting to raise high concern. I also read that this disease causes deer to become very thirsty and stay near water sources for days until they ultimately die from it. It causes the blood cells in the heart and lungs to basically explode, which is really what kills the deer ultimately. This article also said that due to some weather conditions, this disease may be worse compared to other years. Like I said before, the deer affected by this start to feel very thirsty and start to go near water. If one year there's less rainfall, then as a result, obviously there'd be less places to drink water. So they start getting more bunched up near the watering holes. Instead of the animals being spread out, they are condensed and more susceptible to the midges, which again are those bugs. And this causes the midges to bite more deer and further infect the population. All the information on EHD was found on the same article written by Tyler Davis. EHD isn't the only disease that is killing deer in Iowa. There are many more, but one we can focus on is called chronic wasting disease, or CWD. An article called White-tailed Deer Populations in Iowa, written by Clark Schmitz in 2018, had a lot to say about this problem. He talked about how CWD is an abnormal protein that attacks the brain and slowly kills the deer by making them lose weight and mobility. As of now, there have been no cases of humans contracting the disease, but still researchers are urging hunters to be careful and get their deer checked out before they eat them. This first case of the disease was found in Colorado in a mule deer, and it has now spread to 24 other states and 3 Canadian provinces. As you can tell, this problem is pretty widespread and needs to be stopped before it kills off the deer population. I found while reading the article that only 18 cases of CWD have been found in Iowa, and all of them have been in northern part of the state. As of now, there is no known way to stop the infection after it has been introduced to the host. And after reading an article called Tough Times for Deer, Factors Affecting Whitetail Numbers by Scott Bestuel in 2016, I found that in Wisconsin, 40% of the adult bucks are infected with CWD in the original site where it was found. Deer are widely hunted for and eaten in our nation today. Without them, we would not only lose our ecosystems, but we would also, as people who hunt, we would lose a good time. While learning about CWD is important, it is also important to know that the DNR is doing what the DNR is doing to prevent these diseases. In the article written by Clark Schmitz, he talked about what the DNR is doing to take action. Iowa hunters are not allowed to transport whole deer carcasses if they are coming from areas that are affected by this disease. The only way hunters can transport meat is if it is skinned and boned out. And the DNR also says that some deer may not show symptoms, and the only way to know for sure is for them to get tested. Getting a deer tested is easy and free so that more people will decide to do it. And one of the best ways to make sure this doesn't spread is to keep the infected deer in the same general location. All of these facts on how to help the disease crisis were found in the same article written by Clark Schmitz. We have now talked about the EHD disease, the CWD disease, and what the Department of Natural Resources is doing to stop them. Without deer, we in Iowa and the whole country would be in a lot of trouble. So what are you willing to do? If something isn't done about widespread problem, we will no longer have the abundance of deer in Iowa that many of us love to watch. So this is I found this when I was out exploring in Dubuque. I don't really know for sure what it died from, but I don't know, I just thought it was cool to show.